Hello and welcome again to another screencast tutorial of Autodesk Maya. So we've already made the cape on the small detailings here and there. Once you pretty much have that, now pretty much you're almost set up. Now just make sure you clean up some hard edges within your model just to make sure everything looks pretty pristine in this area. Yeah, all I have to do is go to Mesh Display and pretty much soften edge. So everything looks pretty much, like I said, pristine. So, with the eyes, on the other hand, this is going to be a little bit of a challenge because, one, the amount of space in the minimal amount of extrusions and subdivisions. You have to also take consideration how many polys you have reserved. So right now I have just enough. So you could either use the multi-cut tool, whichever works, just to make the eye form and shape, or you could use the edge loop tool just to add one more subdivision within this area. So I think this is going to call for the multi-cut tool on this because there's so much spacing here. We want to at least to have right amount. And you could end here, do the same thing there. And enter. There. Perfect. Go back to object mode, your quad orthogonal tool. You want to at least have enough for this. So let's see. Insert another edge loop. Ooh, no. So you don't want to have too much on the nose, but you also want to have just enough here. So again, multi-cut tool, most appropriate. Okay, and there. Press enter. Once you establish that, press enter there. Yes, I am going to have a lot of triangles, but you know what? Sometimes it is necessary for a few triangles just to make a sort of a round shape. And I'm going to use this. But you want to line it up just nicely. So, okay, need to adjust a few things here and here. You don't want a lopsided face. Okay, so there we go. Control E to extrude. Flip the switch here. Sometimes you have to unflip it so you could scale inwards on the x-axis. Now once you already have that, press the Z, scale in to make this part. Now granted, what I'm going to do here again, soften the edges so it won't be too hard. You want to make the eye feature nice and smooth. Here you go. Soften edge. There. So let's see. Faces. Okay, select your faces, soften edge. There. Just right. You want to have enough as an indentation just to sort of figure out how you want to space this out. Now, moving on. As I stated before, the next step is to make UVs. Now, if you already have finished this model, be sure to save. Now, if you remember in creating basic UV mapping, this will require a new simple shader. You don't want to have a default because you're going to have everything messed up. So if you were to make a new complete model in the same document, it's going to show the same stuff that you have connected to this. So it's recommended that you create a new material. Now, I'm going to assign Lambert. So I'm going to call this Warrior 4. There you go. I'm going to change my color right here by selecting this little checkerboard box and put it to checker. Now, right now you don't see anything, but as soon as you press the number 6 key, it'll show what you have. Now, be sure to delete by type in history to remove any history that you have. Now, if you look right here, everything is jumbled. Now, I'm going to open up my UV editor right here. It shows one big jumbled mess. Now, we kind of want to avoid all that fun stuff. Now, we're going to break it into several major segments, being the arms right here, the body of the chest, the legs, and of course, hands. Now, with this character has a little bit more complex features than your typical character that doesn't have facial hair. Usually I would use whatchamacallit, just wrap it around together for a planar mapping, then unwrapping the UVs. But somehow when I tested this out, we have a lot of issues in regards to that. So we're going to have to break it into several small segments, from mustache to beard to the first part of the face, then break it to the side right here. Now, that's one of our key things that we need to really work on detailing. Because again, you don't want anything overlapping, unless if you're trying to cut corners, then yes, then that is very necessary. So right now, if you could see the white lines, it shows like it already has sort of prefabricated mapping, but sometimes you're gonna have to do it by yourself. Anyways, I'm going to start off with the arms right here. So, of course, go to face mode, use the paint selection tool. Make sure you increase your brush right here. You're going to stop at the wrist point. You don't want anything overlapping that. This would be a good stopping indicator for UV mapping features. Now, you have to also be careful on your selection when going under the arms right here within the armpit. So right here, here. Also within the armor, do be careful what you select. Okay, good, good, good. Here, go in just to make sure you've selected everything. If you have selected everything, great. If you make some mistakes, hold the control key with your paint selection tool and it'll erase a few of the mistakes that you made. Okay, press the W key to help guide you to where it's at. If it's in the center, then that means you overselect. If it happens to be within this area, then pretty much you've got everything selected just enough where it needs to be. So this would be the stopping point for here. Good, good, good. Now once you have that selected, now the next step would be going to UV, going to the cylindrical. Now it'll set up a cylindrical UV mapping. So that means you would also click on one of the edges right here to rotate. If you make a mistake, it'll show you exactly. So make sure and always sure that you have selected everything. In, try again. Cylindrical. Go. If you want to change up the mode and making sure that you rotate, there's this little red little line in the corner that you can select, and it'll open up your universal manipulator. That's the thing that you want to do, is to adjust everything, any key component here. So if you want to go back to normal, there, make sure you close up this said object. Now, if you go to your UV editor here, you'll see your object set up as such. Now, I need to fix up on a few things here. See, UV shell to UV. And go here, here, and here. Okay, so we go to edge. Where does this go? Where does this connect? So UV. There. So let's double check to see. Okay, so this means we need to connect the dots. Hey. Okay, there we go. Put edge. So always a good indicator. Edge right here. Interesting. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go to modify, actually cut and sew. So I'm going to sew these together, select the object, sew them together again. So the shortcut key is Shift S. There, perfect. Now that's the first setup of your set object. Here is your seam. So treat it as if you're trying to sew at least a piece of clothing. And this article of clothing happens to be your model. So you're breaking it into several segments right here. You want to at least have it wrapped up just nicely. So that means I need to fix any situation right here. So let's see. Okay, UV shell. Now, I know there's a feature here where you get to pretty much, let's see, unfold any areas. So align, snap, create, sew, pinning, soft selection. So there is a area where you could fix. I'm going to use this to adjust. This means straighten out any inconsistencies. So once you have that, there. That pretty much concludes part 1 of UV mapping and finalized detailing. Thank you very much.